What's up? My name is Karen Campbell, and I'm a very lazy watercolor artist amongst other mixed media passions and obsessions. This is part 2 of a series that I'm following along with Polina Bright's new ebook all about mixing skin tones because I'm super lazy, and this is her formulas. She is an artist I super have admired for a very long time and continue to do. I use her brushes. This is another fun lesson that I did. Consider it a lesson. It was really me just messing around and seeing what I could do with the colors that she presents in her magical little ebook using the exact colors that she uses. So I hope you enjoy today's little follow along, and I will be back with one more part 3 doing a dark skinned girl afterwards. So I hope you enjoy the whole series. Information on how to get the ebook, the references that I'm using if you want to follow along, everything will be in the description box for you below. All right, thanks. Happy painting. So for the medium skin tone mixes, so for the light one, we used cadmium red, deep accidentally, it should have been red, plus yellow orange. And for the medium skin tones, we're doing this one, yellow ochre and red. So this is actually really, it's so much more fun than I thought it was gonna be, to be honest. I always like dread the mixing part because you can't exactly recreate what you want to, but it's also this like wild science experiment that I really enjoy doing. So for the light skin tone of the medium colors, so we did like super fair last week, and this week we're gonna get a little bit darker, and then next week we'll have even darker still. We're gonna do, okay, so the light skin tone, we are going to use, add more water, blah, blah, blah. I'm just reading. Okay, yes. So we're going to do yellow ochre, cadmium red, and Antwerp blue. So what, like I just said, everything was the same as the first one, but yellow ochre instead. Okay, perfect. Just reading ahead. So this is her recipe for medium skin tone. So my yellow ochre is here. And I already added the water with a pipette. So now I'm just adding the colors. And I also made on my palette, I put a red dot next to the ones that she uses the most, so I wouldn't miss them again. And then I'm gonna add a touch of the blue, which is also, I put my red dot, so I said, Karen, go here. And the blue is what neutralizes it and makes it go from a peach to a beige. And then again, I always recommend having a little bit of scratch paper that you can have nearby so you can test your colors out. This is looking a little dirty, so I'm gonna add maybe just a touch of each of the other colors. Again, but not the Antwerp blue, to get back our, a little bit more peachy pone. Peachy pone? What? Peachy tone. Okay, so that is a good, I think, light color. Now we have more to do because we have to do this whole hand and everything as well. So I just want to make sure I have enough for the whole thing. So I'm going to add a little bit more water to that and a little bit more color and color. So I'm just doing dip, dip, and blue. The blue is very powerful. Again, too yucky. Keep testing as you go so you can keep track. And every time we do this, and every time I do it wrong even, I'm like learning. So it's quite enjoyable. Take your time and keep swatching that. All right, I just want to make sure I had like enough. Okay, so that'll be for the first layer. And then remember, she recommends like filling up and creating all your colors first, and then you can just paint all at once, which I think is super smart. And then we're also gonna make our peach color. We'll do that in a second. And then for the mid-tone, we're gonna do the yellow ochre and cad red again, but with less water and more pigment. All right, so I'll add a little puddle of water before I get started. Again, you can use your pipette or transfer it over like I just did. And here's that medium. Oh, we want the yellow ochre. And then the Antwerp blue. Basically the same as the light color, but with less water. It looks a little green already, so I'm gonna add more red. So red and green are opposites on the color wheel, so they will help neutralize it and get rid of that green. Okay, that's gonna add a little bit more red still. Okay, that looks a lot darker than the first one, so I think that's a really good mix. Oh, I'm forgetting to put this in here. Okay, swatching as I go. All right, so this is the second. And the first one was here. Ooh, and that looks, actually no, that looks fine. This does look a little bit darker than that, so that's good. And I always take a good note for myself so I can go a little faster every time. So this is, I would say, 1/3 yellow ochre, 1/3 red, and 1/3 Antwerp blue plus water. And this is the same but less water. And then the same will be true of our dark skin tone, which is what we're gonna do now. Again, so same system, but a lot less water this time. Same 3 colors. We got this, my friends. We got the red. We got the yellow ochre. And we got the Antwerp blue. Looking super green. I'm gonna go ahead and add more red. And more red. And more blue. So we want to make a nice dark base. Then we test. I think we can go darker than that. Just gonna keep adding more watercolor and more pigment, but not more water. Until we get something nice and deep and rich. Okay, that looks a lot darker. That's way more what I was looking for. And just add a little bit more red so it doesn't turn green. Okay, and this is just less water. Oh yes, so we have a nice gradation. So light, medium, dark indeed. Awesome. Now we need to pre-mix our cheek colors, so we're ready to rock and roll for that. And for this, and let me just take my notes, and this is the same. More paint, less water, same colors. Taking my notes. For the cheek color, for olive skin tone, she recommends doing cadmium red. So I'm gonna do that first. I'm gonna put her cheek colors on this side so I don't get it confused with the other one. Cadmium red, yellow orange this time, and not yellow ochre, but yellow orange. And then a small amount of brilliant purple, which I believe is the first color on my palette. Yes, it is. Oh, and it does make it so cute. I'm going to do all of that again so I can make a little bit more. Cad red, orange, yellow, and that shock of brilliant purple. It's so adorable. I want more purple. And then we can test it out. And I can use more water if it's like too shocking. And write down that formula in my book. Yeah, I think we can use more. I think we can use more brilliant purple in that. I love that color. And of course, you can always experiment and do your own colors as well. Oh, that's better. Okay, so this was brilliant 1/3 brilliant purple. 1/3 yellow orange. And 1/3 red. All right, awesome. Okay, and then there's 2 even darker colors over here, which I presume is just more and more darker and darker browns, which we can use like for her hair and things as well. So I'm gonna just mix up that last one. Actually, I might just use a straight up brown for the hair because she has a lot of hair, so I don't whittle down all of my skin tones colors. All right, now that we have that all swatched and ready to go, we can begin. We're gonna do a full coat of the lightest color over the full face. And then while it's still wet, we're gonna add the darker color right on top, okay? And then we're gonna let all of that dry. And then we are going to put the darker color into the darker part of the face. And then we're gonna add the cheek, okay? And then we are gonna do the third layer, which is going even darker still on the shadows. And you can basically just keep doing that until you're happy with it. You can do another one, okay? And then we start doing the lips. Oh, that's what we need. We need a lip color. So the lip color is brilliant purple. Start off with that first. Plus cad red. Plus Antwerp blue. Oh no, where was I? I forget which one I was at. That must be the cheek color because I mixed up a lot. Okay. Oh, that's so freaking cute. Did I just ruin my cheek color? I have no idea. I think I did that wrong. Lip. Oh, that's so pretty. Whatever that is, that's so pretty. I might not even use it, but it's so pretty. I'm just gonna make a note anyways of what it is. So this is brilliant purple. So this just has no yellow in it, but I'm not sure I put mine in the right place. That's so funny. And cad plus Antwerp blue. Super fun, super fun. All right, we'll cross the lip bridge when we get to it. Okay, and then if we want to do a final layer of the dark for added dimension, then we can do that as well. All right, friends, here we go. I got my swatches in front of me. I also have the reference. So the reference and the traceable are available in my YouTube and cheat sheet neat suite, and I will leave a link to that in the description box below. And let's begin. So remember, the first layer was a nice even layer over everything. Also getting some paper towels ready. Sometimes I like to lift out the areas that I know will have a larger highlight. So I'm at the ready with my paper towels, and I'm going to grab like a round number 2. Also using her brushes. Okay, and then I'm going into the lightest color. And away we go. Just gonna go over the eyebrows because those are gonna be really dark anyways. I'm keeping the wet edge. This is, oh I just put my brush in the wrong, I made her eye squished on the right accidentally. Oops. I'm glad I mixed up a lot because it's a big area that we have to do. Just gonna go over everything. Yeah, definitely happy that we got the mix made up in advance. Ear. I always sometimes forget the ears. Like I'll do the whole thing and be like, oh no, there's just nothing on the ear. And the neck. Oh yeah, geez, we still have the whole this to do too. The whole this shoulder. Shoulder is the word I'm looking for. Now this is where I think it would be nice to have a highlight. Oh, it is really early in the morning as I'm filming this, and there's a big thunderstorm going on for hours. I love a good thunderstorm. So I think this can have the little highlight. And it's her hand. We did every little last bit of this, don't we? Very glad to transfer a hand and not draw it. I do have a whole entire drawing channel, but I'm so busy with my clubs at Awesome Art School and YouTube. And my books that I have only had time to post on one channel these past few months because I just have so much to do. There's only so many hours in a day. And getting all the little bits of this hand. Just make that look a little less, it looks a little gray. I'll fill that in. Didn't love how that was looking. Last but not least, that little finger back there. All right, now that looks even worse. Awesome. Okay. And it's still a little bit wet, so we can go in with the second coat. Okay, so the second coat, we're going to go into the slightly darker color that we already swatched out. And I'm going to run it on this left side of the face, around the eye, and this whole far side. And on the tip of the nose. And under the mouth, and then it scoots around this way. Definitely under the chin area. I must have had some funky pigment there. Inside of her ear. She also has around her eye. And under. All the way up to her eyebrow. And then also along this line here. It really outlines, and then it's even along her jawline too. And then, last but not least, we have to do under these fingers. Oops, I picked up a hair. So on the bottom side of all of the fingers, oh, there is some chunk of undiluted red in here that I keep picking up by accident. So these fingers in the back are all going to be dark because they are for sure in shadow. Oh, I'm missing a finger. This is also a finger. That is hilarious. I was reading that totally wrong. So all of these are dark back in here. That's better. I was like, wait, she only has 4 fingers. What's happening? And then, yes, and the underside of the thumb. Can get that as well. What gives it dimension. The inside of the palm as well. All right, so that looks amazing. And then let's keep reading. Okay, and then we want to add the peachy cheek. So we can do that. She says, I softly layer the color over the cheeks, keeping it diffused and natural. All right, so we have our cheek color, and I'm not sure which one is which. I think it's this brighter one on my palette. I think it was this super bright one. I'm going to do it on the left side first. Oh, actually, she said she lets it dry for a second first. So let me dry this. I'll just spread this out while I have it. But then we do need to dry it. It's lifting all the color I just put down. So I'm going to end right here. And then we'll dry this and come back and do the cheek color. So here's my hairdryer, and I'll meet you back when it's dry. One thing I've noticed, I have not worked with Winsor & Newton watercolors before until doing these portraits, and they scare me a little bit. I hoard Daniel Smith. These are my first Winsor & Newton ones, and they're so reactive. I find them really actually hard to work with, how temperamental they are, and it really, if like adding any amount of incorrect water, it makes a ugly stain, and it's actually freaking me out. So yeah, but it's good to know. But I'm like, oh, I don't know if that I'm a Winsor & Newton girl. All right, so I did dry that, and I'm just gonna start. It's a little too juicy. Just dot that off on my paper towel. Go and add this far side cheek. And we can also use this color for over the eyelids. Because it is quite warm on our reference. So using it for cheek, but also not cheek. Just look at some peachy in there. And then this is where it is on this end. Yeah, she has up here this really soft and subtle cheek. And it just fades out. This goes here. And she does have this super pinky color here too. Playing up her makeup. Why not? And then I'm going to just use like a damp brush with no water on it to soften. And hopefully that doesn't react and make an ugly stain. I'm so surprised at how dissimilar this watercolor is compared to other things. It's almost too reactive. I'm not used to it. I would have never have guessed that a different paint manufacturer would make them so different, but they really feel really different. It's very interesting. Not in a good way. It's making me like look like I don't know what I'm doing, but it's just behaving such a different way. So interesting. And see how this is just when I use usually when I take a damp brush and I smear that or blend it out, that is what eliminates this hard line, and for this one it's making it worse. So good to know. If I use just even less damp, I'm really trying to spread this out. So using very little water to make that move appropriately. All right, I think we have a glowy cheek. Now we're gonna go even deeper, right? So we're gonna go into the darkest areas. And for that, we'll definitely be on the neck. This is a proper olive. Dark. So that we can also put inside the ear. Also be that color. And under the mouth, it gets that dark definitely. And here, nose, around the eyes. That isn't going to end up being black, actually, but we can start by just adding the darker shades. Okay, and it doesn't get anywhere darker there, but inside the hand it for sure does. These inner fingers in here can definitely have more punched up darkness, if you will, especially right along here. And we can run them this way too. This is a very exciting. All right, so if we zoom out, yeah, we do get these areas that are like super, super pronounced. All right, I'm super happy with how she is so far, minus some of these unattractive wet lines. I'm going to use my brush again to just barely blend those out with just a super damp brush. I know I have to treat this paint with like kids' gloves. It's so reactive. I'm sure that's supposed to be a good thing, but it is freaking me out. All right, I'm going to use that cheek color again to rim the lines. Because, ooh, can you hear that thunder? It's pretty cool. Because I really want to do up the look of her makeup. And I have this awesome lip color. I might use sort of a combination of the two that I made. Remember I'm going to do her cheek color first on her lips. And then we'll invent our own little fun colors for her mouth and her nail. All right, just cover that all in. I really like this. It's also very much on her little nose. Add in more peach on that far side. I'm tempted to add just a little bit more over here, but this paint doesn't love me so much. But I do think it can be a little bit more accentuated over here. She is made up beautifully. So let's go all the way with it, and my just barely dry brush for her cheek again. Let's put in her eye color while we're kind of waiting for everything else to dry. We can use her eye color. So I'll use a smaller brush. So 0. And I'm going to use the Antwerp blue because I'm actually obsessed with it. It's so pretty. And I have it on my palette anyways. So I'm going to put a darker bit on the top, just like we did for the part 1. And then we're going to use the water to pull it down so it's lighter at the bottom. Barely, but enough to make it cool. So they're very small eyeballs. All right. Awesome. And I'm going to make up with the other like stronger colors. I'm just going to use like the warm sepia color that she has in her other skin tone. I think would be beautiful for the eyebrow color, and red for her for the different hair color as well. So I can do that because not much else is going on right now while we wait for this to dry. We can also use that to do the eyebrows. Just get out my swatches so I know which ones are which. Oh yeah, this warm sepia is so delicious. It's just like a lovely solid brown. I'm going to use that for her eyebrows. Just working right from the pan. I'm like a watercolor barbarian. And then I usually add the like individual eyebrow strokes will be added in with my Pentel Pocket brush pen. It's where I like can't resist my mixed media arsenal to help me with all of this stuff. All right, just getting our base coat down here. And I recently bought some more square flat brushes rather, and I thought it would be really fun to do the hair with one of them. There's this one. I was like, ooh, that would be the most fun in the world, but I do need a bunch because my brush is bigger than my palette. I don't know that it will even fit in there. So funny. So I'm gonna mash some colors into my palette. And I also was going to use some, what's that other color that's so pretty? Oh, the red umber. That red umber is super duper pretty. Where is it on my thing? And sepia for the dark bits. You can just have some different levels of brown. So I'm going to start with brown sepia. Oh, geez Louise. And just get started here. And mix in already some of this warmer just flying this right off the page. I'll have to go in and add way darker, and definitely add in some blue would be really cool. This is just getting the party started. And I'm, enjoying, I bought some really different brushes lately, and I thought I would experiment with those. Starting right now, apparently. Yeah, I find this paint so hard to work with. It's like too reactive to my spazzy painting methods. You really have to let your layers dry, apparently. Who knew? I did not know. I am such a Daniel Smith girl. Ooh, but I'm loving this. A little bit more water. have it enveloping her, which is kind of neat. Some going up, some going down. It's all good. Ooh, that was lovely. All right, so we're gonna let that dry, and then we'll come back and keep going. Drying with my paper towel, drying with my hair dryer. Let's go. All right, needs a lot of refining still. I'm gonna use I'm going off script now. I'm gonna Karen Campbell for a little bit, which is add in some craziness and unpredictable fun. Okay, I'm gonna dive in, and I'm gonna start with, I think her hair needs some phthalo sapphire. Does she not? Oh, where is it? Oh, it's right here. I think the blue, which I'm getting that inspiration from the reference that I'm using. I see lots and lots of blue in her hair. I think it's a good addition. It's like literal use of it for shadows and whatnot, but I'm also seeing it. And I'm also loving, oops, I just put it right on her forehead. I'm seeing it right up against her face. So we're going to add that right there. And then we're going to go back and add that sepia, the dark bits as well. This is my crazy mixed media missness showing off here. Just had to get the party started. Felt like we were getting very serious for a very long time. I need to like shake loose with some fun a bit. Whee! And just interspersing the different brown, almost I said flavors. The brown flavors is really fun. Also use that Payne's Gray. We put some Payne's Gray in there. That would also be very fun. These darker regions. Payne's Gray would probably be better for mix for in here. Mixed with that warm brown also. Don't want to get too crazy because we need to let it dry. Temperamental paint. All right, I'm going to let that dry for a bit and then go back and work on her features. So let's get her mouth painted. I'm getting restless, so I'm going to use Red Deep. I really like this Red Deep color, just straight up out the tube. It is gorgeous. So I'm going to add that to the left side of each lip. And then I'm going to use the original cheek color to pull that over. And then we for sure are going to add some highlights, and she's going to look so beautiful. Oh, that looks much better. Ooh, we should give her like a nice red fingernail. Drop that in. Okay, and Let that dry. All right, now we're getting a little dimension here. Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna dry all of this and then we'll do some more layers. Okay. Wrap up the hair. I wanna do a little bit more of the makeup look with her because I love how pink this is. So I'm doing this very much on purpose. This is the pink of her cheeks. Using it as the pink of her makeup. So chucking it over in those directions. And this side too keeps looking really weird. I am finding my experience with these paints to be so different than my Daniel Smiths, and I'm a bit taken aback by that, like in a very serious way. But that's just how you learn, you try things. All right, and we do need to maybe normalize this hair. Is looking a little crazy. So just gonna add in some of the warmer brown tones. This is the other sepia. This is the warm sepia extra, which I get. I see why they're so cool. I'm trying to make the area by her face to be the darkest, because that will help push her face forward into the mix. This is Lazy Man's hair. This video is long enough without doing too much. Super fun. All right, that looks a little bit better. All right, let's get going on her eyes and her eyebrows. As per usual, I love my Pentel Pocket brush pen for all the details. Just make sure you're done with everything else because it'll run if you get it wet. It's supposed to be permanent, but it's a lot of play in there. Oh, let me dry this first and then we'll come back and we'll play with that pen and then we'll add some highlights. All right, let's get some mixed media going. Super duper fun. All right, so this is my really fun reference. So I'm doing all the makeup things and then for sure all the highlight things as well. And I still have some kind of ugly transitions, so I'm gonna use colored pencils to do that. So for this, we are going to rim this whole thing, and her eyes are gloriously eyelashed up. But this whole section is actually black, so we can make that like really thick before we go. I love me some drama. Her eyelid, which is also filled in completely in the reference. Don't be afraid to go big or go home. And she also has this really black mark at the bottom. And then while that's wet, I know it looks crazy and funny, but I don't care. I am gonna use this. Take down some of the black ink into this part of the eye. Like that. So we want that all filled in. Now we have the same over here where we're doing go big or go home. And they are huge. So great big lashes there as well. And she looks crazy, but when we add all of like the shading and things, she'll look less crazy. We need to do what we just did on this side, which is take the crazy away by, there we go, by making that all nice and shaded in here. It really should be like all covered up almost. So I know it feels weird, but That is how it looks. I'm gonna pop a little bit of that cheek color in here and in here. And also use it for in the nose. Still using it to clean up here and here. And then we can pop in. She definitely needs a black nostril. Here and on that side. And her mouth can also get filled in with a pocket pentel, a brush pen. And use that in a similar fashion that we just did for the eyes. We can do that over here too, where you're using it to help with the shading. And it's obviously not hardcore. This is just my mixed media artist in me that's using all of these tools. And all of this is optional. But I really like how her lip lines, you can see them because they're darker. And goes over there as well. And adding some lip lines here. Just using the, not bleed, but yeah, using the ink from the Pentel brush pen to fill in the shadowy places. And then we'll put the highlights on and that will look super cool. She's coming together. All right, her hair, I just don't want to spend a ton of time on it because we're really just here for the skin tones. But we can add these individual tendrils as well. And get some of these going. Brings together all of these other little details. Whee! Could even put black right up against her face. So that she starts to come out of the paper a little bit more. And we can wet that also. Use that to our advantage and make those lines a bit thicker so they don't look so weird that they're like the only kind of black lines. Now, see, this one is drying a bit. To work to move them. But that looks cool, in my opinion. And have fun making your hair however you may like it. Following these wispies a bit. And maybe that one continues. Yeah, so the Pocket Pencil brush pen just has black ink in it. So I'm just playing it up. Alright, so you can go crazy. Do as much of this as you would like. You can also go back into your paints if you want to go and add some more strips of the sepia. Get rid of the blue or vice versa. So much fun. All right, now let's put in the highlights. I'm also just gonna grab a few color pencils. All right, so just reminding everyone, if you need help with some of these transitions, this paint is really weird for me. I don't know why. I'm so used to Daniel Smith. It's just like behaving strangely. If you're like me and you need to do some touch-ups, I highly recommend coming in here with some colored pencil, and that will help ease some of these less desirable transitions. You can also use pan pastels, work super nicely. It can be a little bit tricky on the cold press paper because it can be lumpy bumpy. And I'm not gonna go like crazy, but I do notice that I'm getting blooms in areas that I shouldn't. So doing wet on wet and all the right things. But color pencils can totally be your friend to help ease any of these transitions like me that I need to work on in order to spruce it up and, let's just face it, look less ugly. All right, I'm going to use my Pentel Pocket Brush Pen for her eyebrows. I wanted to touch up her makeup, although I really like it nice and bold. That looks cool. I'm going to redefine her nose. Got lost in the shuffle here. So I'm going to do that just with my pencil. And let's go ahead and add, yeah, we could add a lot more shading in the hands too. Oops. So I just choose colors of pencil that are a little bit darker than what I had, and that can help you to add a little bit more dimension to those. If you want to do a glow area instead of a highlight area, you can do that very nicely with just like a white colored pencil. So you have two sets of marks. So we can do this with colored pencil. And then if you want more of a shocking white, which a lot of times I do, then you can use something like a pen instead. This would be a glow. And then coming in here with like this Copic white, and actually putting down actual paint will make it a lot brighter. And this is what I always used to do for like the highlights in her eyes. Oh, I just put that in a really weird spot. But a little twinkle is always lovely. And I like super bright highlights, so I recommend going in with a super bright white. And adding some to the lips for sure. Gives her that like instant glow. You can put some on here in her forehead. All the highlights. You can do her little ear. You can put some here. You can put literally like anywhere and everywhere, my friend. All right, and then you can also put some in her hair. I didn't spend much time on her hair. It's a little cray. You could spend hours and hours and hours, more hours on this for sure than what I've done. But I just wanted to really get you going, introduce you to that palette and Polina's epic instructions. And I'm going to be back next week because I also am going to do the dark skin tone next. All right, I'm gonna just sit here and continue to play. If you end up doing a rendition along with me, I would love to see them. Come and share it in my Facebook group with me. That would be super duper cool. And You can find it by searching groups. Oh, this is a nice little pink if we want to accentuate her blush. You can search Awesome Art School with Karen Campbell on Facebook, and I would love to see what you end up doing on your rendition. I'm just going to sit and futz and play, and I hope you enjoyed and you have a great day. All right, you're going to click this to watch the playlist that will eventually contain all 3 of the lessons when you start watching this after the date that it was done. All right, thank you for watching. Bye.